In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my journey into project management. Hi, this is Latina, your project manager with Kinsman Point Consulting. I help project managers build healthy relationships with their projects and their teams. I also help businesses get their projects finished. So I received a question in one of my previous videos asking about the move into project management, like how some advice on moving into the project management space. And I figured the best way to explain that is just to share with you my journey and how I got here and what I really enjoy about project management. So, and I'm not using any notes here. I'm just going to riff a little bit and just kind of talk to you about where I started and how I got here. So my whole journey, just in the job scene in particular, started in customer service. So I worked at a couple of different banks, and in the customer service environment, basically, I was the one in the call center on the phone saying, "Thank you for calling. How can I help you?" And I was on there checking people's balances and helping them figure out why their account was negative, and uh, sold loans and credit cards and all those sorts of things. So the second bank that I worked in, I started to notice the onboarding process for employees and started to become interested in that. So I started to become a mentor to start in the uh, admission or in the onboarding space. So when you come in as a new employee in this particular bank, you start in your new employee orientation. You have several weeks of training, and during that training period, you have a point where you are on the phones live in the training environment. And they would bring in mentors who pretty much were people who worked on the floor to come in and listen to their calls, help the new employee get through that first week of taking live calls. I was a mentor in that space, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. So much so that I moved from that into becoming a trainer in for the call center. So all the new hires that came in, I was able to go in and be a trainer. So I actually developed the curriculum or updated the curriculum in that space. Really enjoyed it. That was my first inkling of how much I loved working with people and how much I loved being a trainer, actually, and seeing someone basically go from point A to point B and being really instrumental in that. So I started there, and then training and development became my jam, basically. It became the thing that I really enjoyed doing, so much so that when I moved out of banking, I went into telecom, and I was a trainer there. I was a trainer at a major telecommunications company, and I was the Microsoft Office trainer. I did a lot of training. I did training for management. I did training for those individuals who worked on the assembly floor, and I trained a lot of different topics and subjects. And I was able to develop some of that stuff too. So again, training and development became my thing, and actually I started to move into HR. I became very interested in human resources, so much so that I went, while I was working at the telecommunications job, I went and received my master's in human resource management. And I still love human resources. I love a lot about it. I think in another life I probably would be an HR lawyer, because I love HR law. It's very interesting and just intriguing to be involved with. But um, so moving from training and development, moving into HR is, and it may still be, but at the time it's pretty competitive. It's kind of who you know. So I was within a company that I was moving into that, or attempting to move into that space, received my master's in human resources, and then I got laid off. So, in the midst of that layoff period, I was looking for another job. And I knew that training and development was where I wanted to be. So I looked for jobs that were in consulting, that sort of thing. And I moved into a healthcare industry. And that is where I became a consultant in those. Now, the difference between a trainer and a consultant is a little bit different. If I were to describe it in my experience, as a trainer, when I had the job title of trainer, it was internal. I had internal customers who were basically employees of the company. As a consultant, in the healthcare space that I'm in, that I'm consulting people outside of the company. You know, they purchase a product, we go out and train it and consult them to get the job done. Now, that was really the first, I mean, to be quite frank, all of it is project management on some level because of the type of work that I was doing. But this was the first time when I got into this company that I recognized project management as a thing. It became more prevalent, it was in my face more, right? And the company that I worked for was very broad, had a lot of different job opportunities, and one of them was a project manager type of opportunity. And when I learned about it, I said, "Oh, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to. That's where I want to go." That was kind of the progression I was seeing myself going into. Now, um, it took a while. I'll say that very frankly. It took a while for me to get there for a lot of reasons. One, my department wasn't really using project managers in the same way as the larger company. So it wasn't a need that they saw, right? However, I was doing the work of a project manager if you were to look at the job title within the company. So I could see myself in that space, and I was already doing the work of a project manager as a consultant. I did all those different roles as that one consultant. So it took a bit of time. So my advice, I guess I would say, is basically be really clear on what you want to do. Like I just explained to you my progression into project management, and it didn't start there. You know, honestly, I didn't grow up saying I want to be a project manager when I grow up. Not at all. Actually, I wanted to be a singer when I was little, but that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother conversation, whole nother channel probably. But anyway, so I progressed into it, right? I did some research, looked at the job title, looked at what I was doing, and said, I can do that. And actually, I enjoy doing that. So in my company, I had to be really clear and say, hey, this is where I'd like to be. This is where I'd like to progress, and show my work. Right? I had to be able to show here's the skills that I have displayed, and here is how it relates to this role as a project manager. Now, I can go into a very long explanation of me getting into the job itself, but basically what happened was I started more and more showing my work of being a project manager and doing the work of a project manager, even though I didn't have the title. I put myself in spaces to be seen that way. And I would oftentimes bring up in my department, if we had a project manager in this space, that would allow us to do this or this or this. And I was already doing that. It took a couple of iterations of, just changes in our department. And so I said all that to say, again, another piece of advice is a lot of times your department has to evolve around maybe where you want to go, or you may have to move to a different department that's going to basically give you what you need. And I was exploring those options. I'll be quite frank. I was exploring out in other departments where that could take me. In the middle of that exploration, a project manager position opened up in my department, and I was able to move into that. So the journey was longer than I would have wanted it to be. But it got me where I ultimately wanted to end up, which was in the project management space. And I'm not done. I have some other goals even within project management that I want to achieve. But more or less, the reason that I like this space is because it is always different. Now, I to continue my story just a little bit before I get into the differences and things being always different. Once I became a project manager, I then started looking into the project management certification. Now, I didn't have the certification before I became a project manager. So you absolutely do not need to be a PMP certified person to get a project manager role. You don't, because it's really about the work you do, not about the certification that you hold. I picked up the certification. I chose to do that because it lends some credibility to my position, and it is a globally recognized certification, and it's what I wanted to have, and that's something that no one could take away from me. It's similar to when I went received my master's in human resources. I am always going to have that. I'm always going to have that knowledge base. I'm always going to be able to go back to that and refer back to that. This project management certification is the same thing. And also it gives you a methodology that you can utilize or reference. I say utilize or reference because you're given a methodology, whether you've learned the traditional ways of project management or agile in project management. All of those are suggestions and tools of the trade. So I can take those tools of the trade and apply them where it makes sense. So that's one of the reasons why I picked up the project management certification. So, and just to round this out, one of the reasons why I really enjoy project management is because it is always different. Your clients are going to be different every time. You're going to meet a completely new set of people with every project that you face. And even within the project, you're going to meet different people depending on when stakeholders arrive within the project. There is something really satisfying about working on a project and getting to the end of that project and seeing that that product come to fruition, or that particular software go live with that particular client, and they're really excited about it. Now, is it always roses? No, it's not. And you hear this all the time, or I've heard it where, you may not get a lot of credit, but you may get blame for things that are done or not done. That's all part of it. That's all part of being in the space. You take the good with the bad. I take the good with the bad with it because I enjoy what I do. And there's reward in it. And there's lessons that you can learn from it in each and every space. And I enjoy working with people. I work with a project team that does the work, and I manage the work. And I get to work with people who might be new in their own consulting space. I used to be a consultant, so I get it. I understand them. So I can pick up a lot of times on the nuances of when someone might be feeling a little burned out, or if they have questions. I get all of that because I've been there. So that's pretty much my story in a nutshell. I can expand upon any part of this. Please, in the comments, let me know if there's anything that resonates with you, about anything about my project management certification or any of the other fields I've worked in. I can give you a little some tips about those areas as well. But that's my story, and I hope it was helpful. So again, this is Latina, your project manager with Kinsman Point Consulting, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.